Recording in progress.
Welcome to the June 26, 2024 regular board meeting of the Banning Unified School District Board of Trustees. The time is 5:31. Please be advised that a recording or broadcast of this meeting is being made at the direction of the board. Clerk Ruiz, please take roll.
Trustee Anguiano?
Present.
Trustee Martinez-Laura?
Present.
Trustee Novales?
Present.
I am present. And President Troutman?
Present.
Please let the record reflect that we have a quorum.
Item 1.2, Pledge of Allegiance. Who would like to lead the Pledge of Allegiance? Mr. Davis?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Item 1.3, Adopt Agenda. Are there any changes to the agenda?
No changes to the agenda.
Thank you. Are there any board requests to change the agenda? No. Do I have a motion and second to adopt the agenda as posted?
I move to adopt the agenda as posted.
I second.
I have a motion from Trustee Ruiz and a second from Trustee Anguiano. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say nay. Hearing none, motion passes 5-0. Agenda is adopted with a 5-0 vote. Item 1.4, Opportunity for Community Comments, Closed Session Items. Did we receive any community comments?
No comments were received.
Thank you. Item 2, Closed Session. The board will now go into closed session. The time is 5:33. We'll be right back.
Recording stopped.
There we go. Mhm.
Trustee Martinez Lara,
Present.
Trustee Novales,
Present.
I am present, and President Troutman.
Present.
Please let the record reflect that we have a quorum.
Item 3.1, report from closed session. Clerk Ruiz, please share.
Item 2.1, in closed session, the board received information. Item 2.2, in closed session, the board received information and was updated. Item 2.3, in closed session, the board received information and was updated.
Item 3.2, educational services, student matters, expulsions of students.
This item is for the board to discuss and approve to expel or not based on their recommendation.
Is there a motion to open item 3.2?
I move.
I second.
Any questions? Regarding case number 2023-24-26, is there, sorry. Are we, since, okay. Is there a motion to approve as recommended?
I move.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Hearing none, case number 2023-24-26 is approved as recommended. Case number 2023-24-27. The board recommends amending the expulsion to a suspended expulsion and placement in the Alternative Learning Center for 1 year with the stipulation of a signed behavior contract. Any questions or comments? Do I have a motion to approve as amended?
I move.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say nay. Hearing none, motion passes 5-0. Okay. Item 3.3, opportunity for community comment. Have we received any community comments?
No comments received.
Thank you. Item 3.4, BTA comments. I would like to welcome BTA President Anthony Garcia. Is he online? No? Okay. Item 3.5, CSEA comments. I would like to welcome CSEA President Jennifer Serrano.
Nice things to say. The one nice thing I can say today is thank you for approving our initial proposal. We will be going into negotiations with the district for the 24-25 school year. So I thank you for that. But there was an article that came out in Record Gazette, and I didn't attend that board meeting where some of those comments were made. But reading through what was said, it was very disheartening to me. Some of the comments were made about the reoccurring theory or theme about declining ADA, and we've been in a declining ADA for quite a while. But knowing that our ADA, average daily attendance, for those that don't know what that is, that's how we get funded to keep our schools open. If you know that we're in a declining enrollment, some of the things and decisions that have been made have not, in my words, been good for kids. Some of the things I just put together, I'm not one of those persons that likes to use big words. I'm a lay person. I'm gonna just say it how it is, and I appreciate those that appreciate that from me. Some of the things in the paper were they are not going to fill classified positions as they become vacant. What that does is it puts a strain on every one of us that's left to fill in the things that are left by those persons that are not being replaced. And it puts a strain and things are not getting done. For example, an account tech. One account tech is leaving, they're not going to fill this position. it puts a strain on the other count techs because now they've got to pick up the slack from that person not being filled. That person roughly cost, bottom line, just basic salary without any benefits, it's $48,000 a year, assuming they're 8 hours, 12 months. 2 clerks, $34,000. 1 LVN. LVNs work directly with students. If we have only 1 LVN, that person cannot be responsible for every student in this district. 1 LVN and 1 registered nurse. If we have a crisis at one school and we need somebody to take care of a diabetic student at another school, it's not going to get done. Our LVN, low pay, $37,000. Just basic salary coming in entry level. And a security guard. They don't want to replace a security guard, $38,000. So just rough numbering, for the sake of my thoughts, I added that together. And that was about $156,000, just roughly playing with the numbers. So you want to make cuts and try to save some money and get, right size the budget, and you think $156,000 is gonna do it. Then I go through, and during the same declining enrollment, and I took these numbers off of Transparent California. These numbers are based on 2022. If you don't know Transparent California, you can go on .com and look at anybody's salary at any district in California. Now, I'm taking the very basic rough numbers, and this is from 2022, so it's not been updated. And by no means am I trying to attack anybody. Everybody's a great, I work well with everybody, but just the numbers alone. You got to hear these numbers. People need to hear these numbers. It makes it real. Our superintendent in 2022, just basic salary, $288,000. We added 3 assistant superintendents. Basic, ballpark, $260,000 each. 2 additional executive secretaries. Basic, bottom of the line salary, $78,000. 1 district communications relations coordinator, $125,000. A safety coordinator, $125,000 roughly. A supervisor of business services, about $100,000. And we've upgraded the child welfare attendance person. We split it, made it a director, probably about $200,000. So just the average Joe can do their own math. If you have a calculator, you can add up those numbers. And that's about $1,642,000. And you want to right-size the budget on the backs of classified employees. These are the ones that are actually working with kids, that are sitting next to children, that are taking care of their needs in the classroom, and take it for however you want. Like I said, I'm not trying to pick on anybody. I'm just trying to get some information out there that the person, the regular average person can understand. Not filling these positions that work with kids is not going to right-size this budget. Not going to do it. And as we go into negotiations, I think about that. And, it was already said, and I don't want to quote because you can read it there in the paper. They're not trying to make cuts. When the money comes back, we'll fix it. There's a fix right here. There's a fix right here. We don't have to do that. Fill those positions. They're needed. They need to be filled. So, like I told you before, doing the right thing and saying the right thing is probably not always the most popular, but it's what needs to be done. And so I'm here telling the information. You guys can call me. I've extended numerous times. I'm available to any one of you board members that wants to call me and talk to me. There's 3 sides to me. I'm a parent, community member, an employee. I have lots to say about as an employee. That has nothing to do with also being the president of the union. So again, I will extend the invitation. Call me. I'm in student services. My cell phone number, personal cell phone number is out there. It's on all my business cards. Email me if you have any questions. Thank you for your time.
Item 4, superintendent comments. Mr. Davis?
Tonight, I have no comments.
Thank you. Item 5, consent calendar.
The recommendation is to approve consent calendar agenda items 5.2 through 5.4 as provided. All matters listed under the consent calendar agenda are considered to be routine and enacted by one motion and vote. There is no separate discussion of these items prior to the time the Board of Trustees considers the motion, unless a member of the board or administrative staff requests that specific items be discussed and/or removed.
Do we have a motion and second to approve the consent calendar as provided?
I move.
I second.
I have a motion from trustee Martinez Lara and a second from trustee Anguiano. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Hearing none, motion passes 5-0. Item 6.1, District Safety Security Measures Presentation. I would like to invite Mr. Shilriff to share tonight's presentation.
Hi, good evening. Just wanted to take a few minutes and inform the board and the community as a whole that we as a district are going to be moving forward and participating in a free, no-cost pilot of the Evolved Weapons Detection System. And this will be taking place at Nicollet Middle School. So just a little bit of background here. Ultimately, the reason why we're moving forward with this pilot program is we're looking to do everything we can to improve the safety on our school campuses, improve the safety for our students and our staff who are here and share the space with us. It's proven if you feel safer, you're going to have a higher level of achievement, you're going to have an overall higher quality of life. And when we look at schools specifically, obviously one of the growing concerns, and this is on a national scale, is keeping weapons off of our campus. And by no means is this, a one-stop solution for preventing all forms of violence on our campus, but it is a strong, effective tool. It's an added layer that we can use to make sure we're doing everything we can to keep these weapons off of our campus and away from our students. So I've talked about this before. This has been a pretty extensive process. If you look at the timeline here, this really goes back about a year to this point. So back in July of 2023, members of the Banning Safety Committee attended a conference in Henderson, Nevada, and it was there that we were introduced as a group to the Evolved Weapons Detection System, got an idea of some of the capabilities, and started talking about how a system like that would fit into a district like ours and a community like ours. And so what we did is we took that information back, we discussed it as a committee on multiple occasions, and we reached out to the local community, to local school districts, to get feedback and advice from our neighbors who have these systems in place. We reached out to Hemet Unified. Hemet is our closest neighbor that actually uses this system. They use it at every single one of their secondary schools. And the safety director there invited members of our committee to come and visit and see what this actually looks like on a day-to-day basis, to see what it looks like in a school setting with actual students going through and going about their day. And it provided a really invaluable set of data. We got to assess their infrastructure, how they had to modify that to fit a system like this and really work for them. And having these discussions amongst this group, eventually came to the point where we reached out to Evolve directly and asked them to come out, to send a team out and assess each of our secondary sites. And so that's what they did. So in February of 2024, Evolve actually came out. They assessed Banning High School. They assessed Coombs Alternative Education. They assessed Nicollet Middle School, and basically told us how a system like this would fit in our school sites, and how we go about our day-to-day processes. So again, this went back to the committee. We assessed the site survey results that were provided by Evolve, and we started discussions on what other changes we could make to not only support a system like this, but to further improve our general safety policies and practices at the school sites. We also reached out to site administration, so we provided them with these site assessments, we provided them with the recommendations by the district safety committee, and we gathered their input and feedback as well. And it really led to really engaging and very effective conversations on how we can improve safety in general, whether that's modifying the entry points and the exit points at our school, not only to support a system like this, but again, just to improve safety in general. And then we took this information, we shared it with Evolve, and worked with them to develop an idea of a pilot program. And through conversations between them and the district, we ultimately came to the conclusion, this is May of 2024, that Nicollet would be the prime site to have this pilot program. And that's really because it was the most difficult campus logistically to implement a system. So we thought, let's start there. And this is going to give us the best opportunity to identify strengths and weaknesses and make any sort of necessary modifications that need to be made in order to make a system like this work. And again, as part of this process, the conversation here, not only are we moving forward with a pilot, but we are also moving forward with making some of these changes that I mentioned as well, changing on some of the entry points and how visitors and students and staff members enter our campus. So what this is going to look like is it's going to be a 3-day process for us. We're looking to pilot the system at Nicollet from September 3rd to September 5th, so this is after Labor Day. It gives us a bit of time to kind of settle into the new school year, to have the students and staff learn the newer systems, get over those first day jitters, those first month jitters, and really see how a system like this could be implemented on our campuses and our community. So really that's the first step, is to determine the feasibility and effectiveness of this system in our school settings here in the district. And then we're going to take that data and feedback that we gather as part of that process, and that's going to be through a combination of actual data that's provided by the hardware and software that we're using here, but also feedback from staff, from students, from the surrounding community, to really see how a system like this can fit in and work for us, and determine other changes that need to be made going forward, whether that's making infrastructure upgrades to support this system and support safety in general, or again, identify any sort of changes or modifications that need to be made. And then, as we have that data and gather that feedback, ultimately, we're using that to assess how we proceed from here, what the next steps are ultimately going to be, not only at other sites, but in the district as a whole. So again, I just wanted to share this process with you and provide you with the information so you can understand where we're moving in the near future here. And if you had any questions, I'd be happy to answer them as well.
I do have a few questions.
Sure.
Okay, so the pilot is only from September 3rd to the 5th, correct?
Correct.
Okay. How or what's the plan if you already know what it is on how to communicate with parents and our students? I'm assuming there's going to be only one of these, or is it going to be 2 lanes, 1 lane? Like, I'm just for an idea, because as a parent as well, I'm all like, okay, how is this going to go down?
For sure. So to answer the first part of your question there, in terms of engaging students, staff, and the surrounding community, Evolve has actually been a great partner up to this point. They have these materials prepared as well. They serve over 350 schools right now, so that's one of their primary customers. So we are working with them to develop and push out some of those materials. Now, in terms of the 3-day process and what that looks like, essentially they're gonna send out a team. So they're gonna send out technicians and a project manager here to walk us through the process. So they're gonna be training our staff in the use of this technology. They're gonna be informing us of any, again, modifications that need to be made, or really what we need to do to make a system like this work for us. So yeah, 3 days is a typical pilot duration for them. So they'll be with us essentially that whole week. So we'll prep with them prior, and they'll be here to debrief after that period as well.
And actually, there was communication with the principal about this and communicating with the parent, because this also includes a change to drop off and pick up
It does.
buses, all of those things. So we've worked with security team, safety committee, and MOT to make sure we have all those things in place and that that's communicated to parents.
And to answer the other part of your question, as far as the number, I don't want to get too into the details of placement in these systems. We are looking at multiple devices being used as part of this pilot. Just understand part of this process, and this is separate from, the potential adoption of a system like this, is really trying to limit the number of entry points on our campus and have better control over those spaces as well.
Would you say that's our biggest obstacle, is the number of entrances or exits that we have?
With Nicolette, yes, that was one of the deciding factors in choosing that site ultimately. It's one of the oldest school sites that we have here in the district. Schools are not built quite that way anymore. So yes, it has been a challenge in restricting the number of those openings for sure.
So I hope you don't mind my question, but can you give us just a little bit of the details about how you would limit access?
Yeah, so part of this is going to be changing the way our staff and our students enter onto campus. So one piece of that is going to be shifting the majority of where the staff parks. Right now it's split between multiple locations on campus, trying to narrow that down to a single lot. So we're, again, restricting access to multiple points of campus, particularly in the morning. It will also be narrowing down the number of entry points where students can come onto campus in the morning.
So like mostly the front entrance then, that would be the one?
Correct. So what we're looking to put in place is essentially a point of entry at the front of the school, and then another point of entry for our students who ride the bus.
That's my concern, is with the buses, because we have that big space for the buses to go through and drop off kids, but if we're limiting access there, I could see that getting messy.
Absolutely, and this has been part of many conversations with a large number of people throughout the district, and we are looking to change that process as well. So again, I don't think we had an ideal flow of traffic to begin with. Nothing is perfect, but what we have planned out, and obviously we'll get to test this, I think is a substantial improvement from what we had in place before.
Sounds good.
And can I just add, when we met with the Evolve staff and we met with other schools that are using the system, they've made it very clear they use one point of entry that controls everything. And when we started to talk with the Nicolette staff, I think we were told at some point they were like up to 5 or more entry points. So we have made some adjustments to get that number down. And so that's something that we'll continually have to work on.
I do have a question. Once we decide about this, one of my concerns with that front entry, and I think I've shared it with Mr. Davis, is that even though our students are coming in there, it's a clear, I hate to use the word shot, but it is a clear shot. What are we going to do to be able to block that off so anyone that isn't coming through, it's great to limit that and make sure that students aren't carrying things. what are we going to do to ensure that that single shot is not affecting the security of our students?
It's a great question. And so part of this process too, and I think I briefly mentioned it, there are other infrastructure improvements that will need to be made. Again, not only to accommodate the system in general, but to improve safety. So the area that you're talking about in the beginning, we do have tentative plans to rework that space to improve safety in general. So to answer your question, we are looking to address it. It is a top priority. It is something that we're looking at incorporating into part of this process as well. Again, I don't know if this is space to go into details and exactly how we're looking to do that, but
Maybe just send us something, because
Absolutely.
regardless of whether we choose this, I mean, regardless of whether we decide to go with this or not,
Right.
that is still a serious issue
absolutely agreed.
for that school.
And then my other question is, are we going to take in consideration that while we pilot this system, are we going to have leniency with truancy or being tardy because of the process and the kids getting used to it and getting, like, how is that taking into account?
It is, and so that was actually one of the many questions that we had for groups like Hemet when we visited them and saw them implement the system on a day-to-day basis. You know, part of this process of identifying some sort of weapons detection system was, one, how effective are they, but also how efficient can the system be? Because obviously you want to do everything you can to protect the students and staff that we have there, but they have to be able to go about their business on a day-to-day basis, right? It can't inconvenience them because that leads to fatigue and it becomes counterproductive at a certain point. So what we did notice in our observation was that, you know, in most times, this system is not really slowing down the students from entering campus. There's a lot of prep work that goes into that process prior to really make it a smooth transition. All of that to say, though, yes, it will take a little bit more time because we have no sort of screening process currently for weapons on our campus. So absolutely taken into effect, but from what we could see through our observation, it didn't significantly impact the time it would take for a student from getting outside campus inside.
Right, so I understand that with time and experience and practice, our students and staff are going to know how to go through the process.
Yep.
But I guess my main question is, during this pilot period, are we going to have some sort of leniency if our kids aren't able to get through the process in time, given that it's a pilot and it's new?
Absolutely. So there's going to be a learning curve. I would imagine the first day of this pilot would probably take a bit longer than the other two in figuring out the kinks. So absolutely, and that was part of the reasoning to push this back roughly a month until after the school year had started. That way we can really focus on doing all of the prep work, informing everybody who we need to inform to prepare adequately for the arrival of this pilot.
And has Hemet foretold of any issues that they ran into on their first day, something that we can maybe fix before we get there?
They did. So what's nice about seeing a neighbor of yours implement a system like this first is you can learn from, some of the mistakes that they made or some of their, some of the learning curve there. So just as an example here, having a table set out for students to place items that could potentially trigger on the weapons detection system, having that in place. They didn't have that in place the first day, so that slowed things down for them. To share with you, they also didn't expect the amount of contraband that they started receiving in their first few days as well, which is it's a good thing to notice, with everybody being well informed of the implementation of a weapons detection system. Students there were a lot less likely to bring anything that could be misconstrued as a weapon onto campus. And so that was something that they did note during their initial rollout period as well.
Does this also detect plastic?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Does it detect plastic weapons?
It does not. So it is meant specifically to detect metal signatures. So you can calibrate the equipment to be more sensitive depending on how stringent you want to be with the search. So there's a fully customizable range, but it is, to reiterate, specifically looking for metal, yes.
And I guess I just wanted to go back to the timeline. You mentioned that this started in July, so
Right.
it's almost a year. So we've thoroughly vetted this out through the process and meeting with the site, meeting with MOT, because it takes all of us to make sure that this happens. So I just want to thank you, Joe, for leading that work. The other piece that I do want to say is, and we talked about this last time with the budget in terms of the safety budget line item and ensuring there's enough money there. So all of this in totality for the district is going to go back to funding and how we're funded to provide appropriate infrastructures, upgrades, and barriers. Those are the challenges that we have to have in place first at some of our school sites to even get to this point, and that's what we're going to continually work on. So I just want to thank you, Joe, and the team, and the involvement of so many people just to get to this point.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sheriff. Item 6.2, Business Services, Adoption of Resolution 25-004.
This item is for the board to approve and adopt Board Resolution 25-004 to authorize the ordering of an election and establishing specifications for a general obligations bond on the November 2024 voters ballot.
I know, I'm just looking at this. Okay. Oh, I see. Okay. Is there a motion and second to open and discuss item 6.2?
I move to open and discuss.
A second?
Any discussion or questions? No. I have a motion from trustee Ruiz and a second from trustee Novales to approve item 6.2. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay.
Nay.
Motion passes 4-1. 6.3, Academics Adoption of Local Control and Accountability Plan, 2024-25, Annual Update, Federal Addendum to the LCAP and Budget Overview for Parents.
This item is for the board to adopt the 2024-25 Local Control and Accountability Plan, Annual Update, Federal Addendum to the LCAP, and Budget Overview for Parents.
Is there a motion and second to open and discuss item 6.3?
I move to open and discuss.
I second.
Any discussion or questions? I have a motion from trustee Ruiz and a second from trustee Anguiano to approve item 6.3. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say nay. Hearing none, motion passes 5-0. What's this? Right. Item 6.4, Business Services, Adoption of the 2024-25 Proposed Budget Financial Report and Budget Stabilization Plan, Phase 1.
This item is for the board to adopt the 2024-25 Proposed Budget Financial Report and Budget Stabilization Plan, Phase 1.
Is there a motion and second to open and discuss item 6.4?
I move.
I'll second.
Any discussion or questions? That's what I thought. Mr. Herrera, sorry.
Great. Good evening, President Troutman, Clerk Reese, distinguished board members, Banning Unified School District leadership. community here joining us in person and those reaching us virtually. I am going to be providing a quick update here on the proposed budget recommended for adoption. And as you may recall, about 2 weeks ago, exactly today, we did provide the preliminary budget. Currently, we're moving up on the cycle here, now talking about a proposed budget for adoption. There were minor adjustments made in that budget. As a reminder, this is for the fiscal year 24-25. It does include a 3-year multi-year projection, and there is an alignment with the LCAP and the supplemental concentration priorities. The latest update from the state level is that there has been a budget agreement reached between the governor's office and the legislative office just on the 22nd. There is an expectation to draw from reserves and also deferrals in terms of cash payments to districts in order to fill the funding deficit. Also, the governor is fully funding the 1.07% COLA. And because the COLA is under 2%, it does trigger the summer layoffs process. However, that has been suspended, and just want to make the board aware that the district was not looking into a layoff process, just providing the information as it becomes available from the state. In terms of the multi-year projections, really getting into the meat of the budget proposal, is very minor changes in the unrestricted general fund. It was a minus 40,000 in year 1, plus 10,000 in year 2, and plus 40,000 in year 3 in terms of the impacts to the bottom line. There were very minor changes to the reserves for economic uncertainties. Year 1 at 7.1%, leading up to year 3 to a 5.03%. The district is meeting its 4.5% reserve requirement, as you can see. One of the changes in our combined balances is on the restricted side in recognizing revenues. Again, more refinement as we continue to evolve in the budgetary cycle here. And so there was, again, changes to department budgets as we were identifying some line items there, sub-cost, looking at staffing from the lens of just refinement, folks moving. There's been the resignations and refining those projections in terms of cost for those positions. And like mentioned just seconds ago, it's looking at our revenues and ensuring that we're carrying forward our revenues. And it does have a deficit spending effect. However, it is not a true deficit in the restricted side of the general fund, given that there is dollars that have carried forward without the recognition of revenues. In terms of the fund balance components as part of the budget transparency portion of today's discussion is this document here in presentation showing the different assignments and commitments. I do want to address really two minor changes from the lens of just adjustments there based on the feedback collected from our last conversation on attendance and enrollment loss, obviously moving away from the impacts of the pandemic. However, we still see those impacts in our multi-year projections. And also, just as Mr. Davis mentioned a few moments ago, is looking at the commitment for safety improvement measures. So that was increased to $1 million from about $650,000. And so there is also great news in moving forward with the bond process to have the voters make a decision if they want to support school districts, because a lot of those funds that may become available will be also redirected to safety measures as well, in addition to other capital facilities projects. And in terms of next steps, the recommendation is to have the budget approved. Once it's approved by the Board of Education, it will be submitted to the Riverside County Education. It is not a positive certification as we see in interim reporting. In this particular case, is having the Riverside County Office of Education review the budget, and then they provide an approval disapproval or a conditional approval. In this case, the district is expecting an approval letter from the county. In terms of the state budget, the governor needs to sign the budget, have an enacted budget by July 1st of 2024. Should be there any material changes, there is the ability to make changes to that budget projection to within 45 days. At this point, it is not expected for there to be major changes, even though they're still working through some of the details as the budget gets ready to sign the state budget. With that, are there any questions today?
Doesn't look like it. Nope. All right.
Can I just note that was a record? That was like 5 minutes, 6 minutes for Mr. Herrera, just noting.
It was just an update.
Thank you very much. I have a motion from trustee Novales and a second from trustee Martinez Lara to approve item 6.4. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say nay. Hearing none, motion passes 5-0. 6.5, Educational Services, Dashboard Local Performance Indicator Self-Reflection. This item is informational only. Are there any questions? Nope. Okay. Item 6.6, Business Services, Adoption of Resolution Number 25-003.
This item is for the board to adopt Resolution Number 25-003, ordering consolidated Board of Trustees member biennial election, specifications of the election order, and request for consolidation.
Is there a motion and second to open and discuss item 6.6?
I move to open and discuss.
I second.
President Troutman, if I may, can I address the board with this item?
Please do.
If we can get the that slide up. What I want to start by saying is I made an error, my fault, 100% me. I thought that this item was to have the board pay for, there's two things. In the board election, which happens every 2 years, there's the election fee, and then there's candidate statement fees. And I thought, this was my fault, that this was about having the candidates pay for their, let me make sure I get it right, that the board would not pay for their election. Well, this item has nothing to do with election costs. This has to do with candidacy statements. And so therefore, what you see on the screen is what I'm proposing to amend in this resolution, and basically taking out the line that's stricken there. Says a further resolve pursuant to Education Code Section 13-307, the governing board of Banning Unified School District shall bear the cost of printing and handling candidate statements limited to 200 words, which are submitted for this election. So I'm asking for the board to strike that and replace it with, it is further resolved that the pursuant to Election Code Section 13-307, that candidates requesting a statement, meaning that anyone who wants to run in this next election in November, that if the candidate wants to have a statement that's limited to 200 words, that they will be required to pay that actual prorated cost, and that cost does not go to the district. And so that's what I would like to recommend to the board, and this is my error, so that's why I want to clarify that. Furthermore, what this resolution does, Mr. Troutman, is it allows the county registrar's office to publish the election with the general election that's in November. So it consolidates it to ensure that we're in alignment.
Any discussion or questions?
I have a comment. Mr. Davis, thank you for changing this. I having just gone through the process myself, I think my concern is, wanting to make sure that although we, as a board, want to make sure that we do have people that really care about being on the board, but we are not political entities in ourselves. We are here for the district and here for the district alone. And so I appreciate you taking that off, and the rest of it is very important that we make sure that we are on the ballot. So I just want to make sure that that resolution 25003, we're still making sure that if we say yes, we do pass this, that we are making sure that we're on the ballot.
Yes.
Okay, that's
Yes.
an important area.
In the past 24 hours, there's been a lot of research, and today the county registrar's office held a seminar or a training session that I participated in halfly with Edith, who sat through the entire thing, and we got some questions answered to ensure that we were in alignment with all of the codes, making sure we're doing the right thing.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? No? Okay. I have a motion from trustee Ruiz and a second from trustee Novales to approve item 6.6. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Hearing none, motion passes 5-0. Item 7.1, Educational Services, International Society for Technology and Education 2024 Conference.
This item is for the board to ratify staff attendance to the 2024 International Society for Technology and Education Conference from June 23rd through the 26th, 2024 in Denver, Colorado.
Is there a motion and second to open and discuss item 7.1?
I move to open and discuss.
I'll second. Any discussion or questions?
Just kind of wondering why this is coming to us now, Dr. Kazi-Bush, after the fact.
Good evening, and absolutely understood. Oftentimes, there are many opportunities for professional development, and that requires planning. And so our job is to improve our process of making sure that information is communicated in a timely manner so that we can get it to the board in a timely manner.
Was this something that just came up all of a sudden?
These conferences the dates are usually published well in advance, but what's often of issue may be if it is decided upon if someone will be able to attend or has the desire to attend.
Okay, so, and thank you for sharing that. Is it possible in the future that maybe this can be brought up with the name left out or the names left out, and so that we could approve something and know what's going on?
Oh, absolutely, to maybe even identify one person or two individuals.
Or the reason for it, the need for it. Because
The
once it's done, I mean, the need for it is moot.
Understood.
Thank you.
Any other question or comments? No? Okay. I have a motion from trustee Ruiz and a second from myself to approve item 7.1. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Hearing none, motion passes 5-0. Item 8.1, Business Services, Adoption of Resolution 25-005.
This item is for the board to adopt Resolution 25-005, authorizing fund balance commitments.
Is there a motion and second to open and discuss item 8.1?
I move to open and discuss.
I'll second.
Any discussion or questions? Hearing none. I have a motion from trustee Anguiano and a second from trustee Martinez-Lara to approve item 8.1. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Hearing none, motion passes 5-0. Item 8.2, Business Services, Notice of Completion, District Office Portables and Transportation Training Room Roofing.
This item is for the board to approve the notice of completion for the Banning Unified School District Office Portables and Transportation Training Room Roofing Project.
Is there a motion and second to open and discuss item 8.2?
I move to open and discuss.
I'll second.
Any discussion or questions? No. I have a motion from trustee Ruiz and a second from trustee Novales to approve item 8.2. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Hearing none, motion passes 5-0. Item 8.3, Business Services, Contractual Agreements.
This item is for the board to approve and/or ratify contractual agreements as provided.
Is there a motion and second to open and discuss item 8.3?
I move.
I second.
Any discussion or questions? I have a motion from trustee Novales and a second from trustee Anguiano to approve item 8.3. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say nay. Hearing none, motion passes 5-0. Item 8.4, Business Services, Monthly Fiscal Services Reports.
This item is for the board to approve monthly fiscal services reports, contracts and purchase orders, and direct payment listing.
Is there a motion and second to open and discuss item 8.4?
I move.
I second.
Any discussion or questions? I have a motion from trustee Martinez Lara and a second from trustee Novales to approve item 8.4. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Hearing none, motion passes 5-0. Item 9.1, Board Members' Comments. Anyone like to go first?
I guess I can. So good evening. I want to thank everyone for their hard work. I know it's hard to continue everything during the summer. As a parent, I have my little ones in the summer program, and it's the routine, and I know it can be challenging wanting to sleep in or not go, but at the end, they're super happy when I pick them up. So I know that our staff are creating that warm environment where they're learning and having fun. And I know the program's almost done, so kudos to everyone that's been participating in it. I look forward to our presentation on our recap of our program. I think there's lots of exciting things going on, and it's important for us as a community to know what our district and our staff are doing with our kids. And I just want to wish everyone a good 4th of July that's coming up, and also, going back to Evolve, I look forward to seeing how this program will be implemented and if this is something that's going to be a good asset for our kids and our staff here as we continue to improve our safety for our students and our staff. And as always, I'm here and available if anyone has any questions. Thank you.
I'll go next. I'm going to keep it short tonight. I just really appreciate all the people who are out working, especially as the weather's getting hotter. I've driven by several of the school sites where they're redoing the concrete and doing different things out in the heat, and I give it up to you guys. I give you mad props because you went and catch me out there doing it. I want to thank everyone for working so hard and everything you did this year, and I hope everybody gets to take some well-deserved time off here soon. Have a good night.
May I go ahead? I want to thank you all too. I know you think that maybe all the thank yous we're parroting it, but honestly, this year I've seen so many changes, so many good things, more parent involvement. I know that we have a ways to go, but I really appreciate all of the interaction, and I know that we talked about an entire system that we are moving forward, and it's so important, and some very challenging, I guess, communication and dialogues, and I very I'm very appreciative of those honest, open communications, and I just hope that we can continue moving in that direction, and I hope you guys have maybe get a chance to have some time this weekend, and as we celebrate our independence, maybe you get some of your own. So thank you.
I think everyone covered it pretty well. I just want to say, as always, thank you guys. Like Ms. Ruiz said, it is getting very hot out there, so thank you all because you are doing it very gracefully and very spiffy. Everyone looks great tonight. I hope everyone gets some rest. Have a great weekend.
Very well said. I would like to thank everyone for their hard work throughout the entire year. It's very much appreciated. I want to thank the cabinet for their patience with the board. We have been asking some difficult questions lately, and we appreciate the answers that you take the time to get for us. I would like to also thank the community for your patience with us, because we take our job very seriously, and there are some decisions that we struggle to make, but we do what we think is best. And I'm looking forward to the Evolve presentation, seeing what good we can do for safety measures for the kids. I'm all about safety for the kids. I hope everyone has a great night and safe drive home. Item 10.1, future board items. Any future board items that anyone would like to bring forward? No. Item 11 and 12 are not needed, and so item 13.1, adjourn meeting. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I move.
A second.
I have a motion from trustee Ruiz and a second from trustee Novales to adjourn this meeting. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Hearing none, motion passes 5-0. This meeting is adjourned at 8:39 p.m. Yay.
Recording stopped.